students, welcome to Learner's Planet, our problem solving session of periodic classification of elements. Now in our previous session students, we were solving questions related to various types of classifications given by different scientists like Newland, like Dobereiner, and also about the Mendeleev's classification. In this session, we will be solving questions related to the arrangement of elements in the long form of periodic table. So, let's start our problem solving session. Yeah, we'll begin it with a true or false. So, the first statement, the first question here is, students, it is last member of 7th period of periodic table, if discovered, will have atomic number 118. How will you find out whether the statement is true or false? Now, let's solve such type of question. Now students, this type of question can come for any period. Okay? Now, the answer to this question, how to find out? I'll not tell you a one-liner. Just in which period it is? It is in the 7th period, right? So how many shells are supposed to be there? There will be 7 shells. Right? Now, the last member of the 7th period, it means to which group this last member will belong? Last member will be present in which group, students? It will be present in 8th group. Right? Now, there are 7 shells. Now, let's arrange the electrons in these shells. So, what will be the arrangement of electrons? It would be 2, 8, 8, 18, 18, and 32. 32 because it's 8th, so it has to be complete. 8th group, that is, it is a 0 group element. Now this is the first shell, this is the second shell, third shell, fourth shell, fifth shell, sixth shell, and the 7th shell. Now this is complete because it is the 8th group. Now if I'll sum it up, what I'll get? I will get, say this is 8, 8, 16 plus 2 is 18. So if you sum up, you will get 118. So you don't think that it is required to memorize it. It is not at all required to memorize the atomic numbers. You just find out in which period it belongs. Now students, in first period there are only 2 elements. So how many shells are there? 2. In the second period, how many elements are there? There are 8 elements. So how many shells would be there? There would be 8 shells. In the third period, there are again 8 elements. And how many shells would be there? There would be 3 shells. Right? And how many electrons? 8. Because the number of electrons which is present in a shell can be determined by the period number. Or the number, can be determined by the number of elements in that period. Say for example, in the 4th period, how many shells would be there? 4 shells. But in the 4th shell, how many electrons would be there? 18. Why? Because there are 18 elements in the 4th period. Likewise, in the 5th shell or the 5th period, the 5th period will have how many shells? 5 shells. Right? Now in the 5th shell, how many electrons would be there? 18. Why? Because there are 18 elements in the 5th period. Right? Likewise, in the 6th period, how many shells would be there? 6 shells. How many electrons would be there in the 6th shell? There would be 32 electrons. Why? Because there are 32 elements in the 6th period. So students, the number of electrons in a particular shell can be determined by the number of elements present in that particular period. Right? And the number of valence electron can be determined by the group number. Remember these basic things. Okay? So, the number of valence electron is determined by the group number. Say first group, the number of valence electron would be 1. Second group, the number of valence electron would be 2. Likewise, third, it would be 3. Fourth, 4. Fifth group, the number of valence electron would be 5. Sixth group, it would be 6. Seventh group, it would be 7. And the number of valence electrons in the 8th group would be 8. So, this thing is what? This is true. I hope you understood this question. Now let's move to our next, that is the first member of lanthanoid series is lanthanum. Is it? No. What is lanthanum? What are lanthanides? From where they start? Lanthanides start after lanthanum. After lanthanum, there are 14 elements, that is cerium to lutetium, and with the atomic numbers 58 to 71, right? And so the lanthanide starts from cerium. Now, this is your lanthanide, and your actinide likewise. Remember, it doesn't start from actinium. It is 14 elements after actinium, and it starts from thorium, right? Now let's move to our next question here. It is again a true or false. Every period of the periodic table starts with a member of alkali group. Is it? Say the first group elements. What are they, students? They are hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and francium. Now, this is your first period, the second period, third period, fourth period, fifth period, sixth period, and seventh period. Now, what is our question? This is the first group of the periodic table. Now, what is our question? Every period of the periodic table starts with a member of alkali group. Is hydrogen a member of alkali group? No. Only first period is the exception. But the statement is what? This is wrong, or this is false. Got my point? Had the question been except first period, every period starts with an alkali group, with a member of alkali group, then this question would have been true. Okay? Now let's take up the fourth question. It is atomic number of an element is more fundamental property than its atomic weight. Now what do you mean by fundamental property? That is on which all the other properties are dependent. So the chemical properties of the element and most of the physical properties of the element depend on what? Atomic number. So which is a more fundamental property? The atomic number. So this statement is what, students? This is a true statement. Now let's move to the fifth question. Seventh period of the periodic table is not complete yet. Is it the thing? Yes, it is not yet complete. The last element of the seventh period, last element is the fifth one of the seventh period is what? It is empty, which is an element with an atomic number 109, right? And the element which will be discovered later in seventh period, eighth group will have atomic number 118. Okay, so this is what the statement is true. Now let's take up our next question. Yeah, this is the fill in the blanks. Elements of third period are known as, what are they known as? I told you. They are known as what? They are known as normal or representative elements, right? Now taking up the second question, in dash group all the members are in gaseous state. Let's take up the groups first. In the first group, are they in gaseous state? No, they are in metallic state. They are metals except hydrogen. All others are what? Metals. So they are not in gaseous state. In the second group, again there are metals, right? In the third A group, what are there? They are not gaseous in nature. So they have a sharp transition from a non-metal to a metal. Okay, so it is a non-metal to a metal. Then students, the fourth A group, there is also a transition from non-metal to a metal, and they are in solid state. They are not gaseous. Then fifth A period, they are all what? Your nitrogen is a gas. There is a transition from non-metal to metal. Your N2 is a gas. But phosphorus, is it a gas? It is not a gas. Now moving to the sixth period or sixth A group. Here also all the metals, all the elements are not gases. Here there is again transition from non-metal to a metal. Your fluorine is a gas. Chlorine is not a gas. Bromine is a liquid, right? So this is, this is the 6th period, right? The 6th period we've got oxygen. There is oxygen is a gas. But is sulfur a gas? No. Is selenium a gas? No. Now moving to the 7th group. There is again non-metal to metallic. Metallic is, no one is metallic here, right? So they are all what? They are all the non-metals. They are the typical non-metals there. But here also your fluorine is a gas, chlorine is a liquid, chlorine is again a gas, and bromine is what? Is a liquid, iodine is a solid, right? So these are also not, here also all the metals are not gases, all the elements are not gases. But if I take up the the zero group, so what are the elements here in the zero group? They are helium, which is a gas, neon, gas, argon, gas, krypton, gas, xenon is a gas. So, in the zero group, what elements are there? The elements are gaseous in nature. So, in dash group, all the elements are in gaseous nature. What would be its answer, students? It would be zero group. I hope you'll remember this. Now, let's take up our next question here. There are dash groups and dash periods in extended form of periodic table. So how many groups are there? Tell me, how many groups are there? There are 18 groups. And how many periods are there? There are 7 periods. Okay. Now let's take up our next question. Yeah. The highest atomic volume is occupied by. What happens to the atomic volume down the group? So, if I take down the group, right? Down the group, what happens? The atomic volume increases. Right? So the highest volume will be occupied by the first group, last element. What is the first group? What are the first group elements? They are lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, right? And francium. So which will have the highest volume? Francium. And what happens to the volume across the period? What happens to it? Across the period, the atomic volume decreases. Okay? So which will have the highest volume, students? It will be francium. And which will have the least volume in the periodic table? It would be fluorine, right? Because that is the smallest atom, excluding your hydrogen and helium, right? Now, what is our next question here? It is, elements of second period are known as. Tell me, what are the elements of second period known as? Second period elements, what are they? Second period elements are lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine and neon. Now what the case is, students, here, that your every element is the first element which is representing its group, right? So these are known as typical elements. Typical elements of the group, right? Now let's take up our next question here. It is a multiple choice question and it is, which of the following elements is a noble gas? Now what is magnesium? Magnesium it belongs to second A group. Okay, so it is belonging to which group? Second group. And it is an alkaline earth metal. Right? Second option is gallium. where it belongs, where it comes. It is coming in your 3rd A group, right? And it is of course not a noble gas. It is along boron, aluminium, gallium, indium and thallium, and it is what? It is a metalloid. Then is Sp, that is antimony. Where it is? It belongs to the 5th A group, right? And it is nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth. It is a Ganna metalloid, right? Now the last thing is argon. Argon belongs to 0 group. I hope till now you have memorized your this thing, periodic table. If you have not done yet, do it as soon as possible. 0 group, okay? And so it is a noble gas. What are the elements of the 0 group? They are helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon and radon. So what is argon? Argon is a 0 group element. Okay. So what will be your answer? It would be argon, right? And let's take up our next question here. You know, students, if you'll just memorize the periodic table, half of the questions are done. Because from what you need is just to memorize the periodic table, just to know the arrangement, just to know how the elements are arranged. That's it. Now our question is, which of the following element forms stable positive ion? So which elements form positive ion? Metals form positive ion, right? Of these, which is a metal? Boron is a non-metal. Because where it is present in 3rd A group and 1st element. Right? Carbon is again a non-metal. 4th A group and it is the 1st element. Oxygen is again a non-metal. It is 6th A group and it is the 1st element. And magnesium, it is what? It is a metal. And it belongs to 1st group, right? So being a metal, it will form what? It will form a positive ion. It belongs to the 2nd A group, magnesium, Mg2 plus ion. 1st A group elements are lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium. 2nd A elements are beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. So this will form a positive ion. Why? Because it is a metal. Clear? Now let's take up our next question here. Which of the following element is most reactive metal? Right? Now, do you remember the metal reactivity series? Which element is the topmost element in the metal reactivity series? It is potassium. So what will be our answer? Potassium. Now let's take up our next question. Which of the following element is a non-metal? What is a non-metal? Say here, if I start with strontium, where it is present? It is present in the 2nd A group. And it is beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium and radium. In every question I am repeating these elements because so that you can listen. So as many times you are listening, so it will be easy for you to memorize it, right? And so what is strontium? It is a metal. Because what we know that the metallic character increases down the group. Increases, right? Now our next element is rubidium. Where is rubidium present, students? Rubidium is present in the first A group, that is along with lithium, sodium, potassium, and what? Rubidium, cesium, and francium. So rubidium is again a metal. Now we have got the third option, that is aluminium. Aluminium is present in third A group. Boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, and thallium. Your aluminium is again a metal. So what is left is sulfur. Sulfur belongs to sixth group, that is oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, and polonium. So sulfur is a non-metal, right? This is our next question. Which of the following pairs represents elements of same group? Let's take up. Our first option is sodium and calcium. Sodium belongs to first A group. Calcium belongs to second A group. Second option is boron and indium. So in the boron group, what all are present? Boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, and thallium. So they belong to the same group, that is the third A group, right? Our next is what? Germanium and selenium, sorry. Germanium belongs to fourth group. Selenium belongs to sixth group. Now our next is phosphorus and tin. Phosphorus and tin. Phosphorus belongs to fifth, tin belongs to fourth. So what is our right answer here? It is boron and indium. Now this is our next question. It is, which of the following elements form negative ions? So who form negative ions, students? Non-metals form negative ions. Which is a non-metal here? Barium. It belongs to your second group and sixth period. So it is what? It is a metal. Tin. Tin belongs where? Fourth group, and it is fifth period. It is again a metal. Phosphorus, where it is present? Phosphorus is present in fifth group, and it is a non-metal, right? Can it form a negative ion? It forms phosphide ion, P3 minus ions. And your sulfur also can form P3 minus, S2 minus ion. This is also a non-metal, right? So what all are the answers? The phosphorus and sulfur, right? So this can come in your multiple choice questions, like multiple choice, more than one option correct. More than one option correct, right? So these were a few questions related to the arrangement of elements in the periodic table. In my next session, I will tell you about the questions related to the properties or the characteristics of the elements, their gradation along the periods and the groups. So do practice the questions and also try to memorize the periodic table. Okay. Thank you very much for listening patiently.